In the past, I've talked about altering your baits. If fish see the same bait over and over again, sometimes they can become lure shy. So when considering altering your baits, I want you to take that one step further. Let's talk about balancing your baits. For example, here's two spinner baits that I have dramatically changed. This one, I just changed the color on the blade. It didn't change the performance of this bait, but it did change the eye appeal. This one, obviously, you can tell I've added a huge blade to this. Really clear water in the winter or real muddy water in the spring or in the summer, that's where this bait shines. But this blade obviously would overpower this bait. One of the other things that we've talked about is changing the hooks on your crankbait. If you put a really heavy hook on this crankbait and you put it in the front, it makes the nose go down. That makes it probably bump over logs and obstructions a little bit better. If you put it in the back, it does just exactly the opposite. The tail would ride down. It wouldn't have the same look or certainly the same performance and would get snagged more often. If you're a soft plastic fisherman, here's a 10-inch worm. Really, really long worm. This would be a mismatch if this slip sinker was an 1/8 ounce. That's probably a 1/2 to 3/4 ounce slip sinker, and I can tell you for sure this is a 4-aught hook. It's got to penetrate all that plastic to reach into that bass's mouth. A little teeny tiny drop shot hook, that would never even penetrate the plastic. But in this instance, if you were fishing a little 4-inch finesse worm, that hook would be ideal, or a small jig head. Speaking of jigs, again, my favorite big bass bait. If you wanted to balance this out, essentially you've got a 1/2 ounce jig and you've got a pretty good sized trailer on that jig. Imagine you remove that trailer, put that trailer on there. You've completely not only changed the look of that, performance of that, but it also would get lost in the shuffle. Not a good idea, so think small baits, smaller attachments, smaller trailers, smaller adjustments. You're gonna alter your lures, or when you're setting up your lures, it's all about balance. You try that, I guarantee you're gonna catch a few more fish. For Reel Tips, I'm Joey Monteleone.